As I've stated before, I hate the original Rayman.
Wow, Meta, I'm surprised that it took you this long for you to say, I hate the original Rayman. Ever since you started ranking on it on your top 10 most disappointing games countdown, it took you about 9 months for you to state the fact that you do hate the game. Now, I'm not going to bash you for not liking the original Rayman. As I respect your opinion, you do bring up valid points about why you don't like the game, and most of the problem you have with the game I do agree with. You're just lucky that you got the PlayStation version, while I was stuck with the Game Boy Advance version, which isn't bad, but limitations of the GBA makes it just as good as you expect.
This game could have been a classic if Ubisoft had actually play tested it to make sure it was fair for gamers.
Oh, so you did take TSC 328's advice that the original Rayman wasn't play tested. That's why it's so hard when he left that comment on your top 20 games you first played in 2017 list. So I want to point this out. He never said it wasn't play tested. He said that it wasn't properly play tested. Meaning that Ubisoft probably did play test the original Rayman, but either they didn't play test it the right way, or they didn't bother to play test the whole game from start to finish.
If you fight Space Mama on the moon, you'll probably end up losing a tiny bit of your faith in humanity as you get reminded of the terrible memories of her first fight.
3 things. 1. The arena where you encounter Space Mama for the second time is a stage with the moon landscape as the background. So it's more like rematching Space Mama on a stage play with the moon landscape as opposed to finding her on the moon itself. Secondly, what do you mean losing a tiny bit of faith in humanity? Are you referring to the people who programmed the second Space Mama battle? And 3, would you care to elaborate about how the first fight with her is just as bad as the rematch with her? I mean, sure it may have the same problem as the second fight, or heck, the entire game in general, but still. Want her to elaborate?
First thing, look at her. Or better yet, don't look at her. Did Ubisoft really think that her ugly face would be a pleasing image for kids?
Her face doesn't look that unbearable. In fact, I argue that her body is a less pleasing image for kids. Besides, she had that face in your first encounter with her too. Unless you're trying to say that her face looks worse in the rematch.
It's not even ugly in a classic way.
And by that, do you mean that's not even ugly in a Gruntilda way? No to self. I'm telling that to someone who didn't even grow up with Banjo-Kazooie.
One of her attacks is where she descends onto the battlefield, but doesn't give you time to react.
Like I said in the K-Rool entry, the huge hitboxes are the reason why you think you don't have time to react. Besides, play the GBA version. The screen crunch makes it harder to react to her descent attack.
She has an attack where she leaves behind all these exploding pots. You need to crawl your way out of them, but how can you possibly hope to crawl out of that in time? The diagonal ones are a nightmare too, because they make things all the more confusing, especially when she uses diagonal ones and horizontal and or vertical ones at the same time.
First off, be lucky that she doesn't use horizontal, vertical, and diagonal pots at the same time. Don't know if that would make you feel better, but just wanted to point out. Secondly, not all the pots she finds requires crawling. Some just requires to run and cover. And third, like the case with K-Rool, I haven't gone to her yet, but I've also seen gameplay footage of the fight with her, and while I don't think that what I'm going to say may make you feel better, but the pattern of the pots are always the same. The only difference are the direction Space Mama is releasing them. Once again, I don't think this tape will help you much unless you have a memory of an elephant, but I just wanted to point this out. Oh, and don't forget that she also launches that exploding pot move every time you hit her when you got rid of her washing machine.
Guys, quit arguing about shit I don't even care about, and get your faggot asses in the kitchen.
To make this worse, you'll have to attack her when she's using this move. So beating her without taking a hit is about as easy as dodging rain.
Like I said before, I may not have fought her yet, but I've seen gameplay footage of the fight with her, and gathering from the information from the footage, she fires smaller beams from below and longer from the top. So I recommend you to try and hit her while she's firing her smaller beams, while also trying to jump over them and ducking under the longer beams instead. It takes 5 hits for you to take her washing machine down anyways, but be careful, since if you manage to hit the washing machine, she fires another smaller beam. And while she does get stunned if you hit the washing machine, giving you time to avoid the beam, she only gets stunned in a second, so I recommend you run to the other side of your battlefield before you get unstunned and avoid that smaller beam. Also, trying to beat Space Mama a second time without taking a hit being as easy as dodging rain? Yes, I understand that you find the second encounter with Space Mama being a hard boss, but trying to beat her without taking damage requires luck. Dodging rain, however, is pretty much impossible, not without an umbrella, unless you're trying to make a hyperbole.
And then once you end this part, you must avoid the washing machine bouncing. Whose idea was that?
Probably one of those people at Ubisoft who was responsible at programming the second Space Mama fight. By the way you angrily said that is much funnier than the idea of a bouncing washing machine.
This ugly old hag might as well have been on the box art, because it sums up how I feel about this game in a nutshell.
Oh my god, Meta, that statement that you said about Space Mama being on a box art was so hilarious. Even if it means that Space Mama should have been part of the box art and not the entirety of the box art, it's still a good joke. Too bad that was the only joke in the video that got me cracking.
Shadow of the Colossus is most well known for its fantastic boss fights, with bosses such as Phalanx, Avion, and Malice.
I thought that you're going to bring up that you weren't the biggest fan of the game, even if you did bring up Shadow of the Colossus in your last countdown. But nope, you just started the entry off by saying that it is well known for its fantastic boss battles. Don't know about you, but it's kinda lame to start the entry if you ask me, especially when considering the fact that the last time he even brought up Shadow of the Colossus prior to his status moments list was in his top 2016 version of his anticipated games list.
But then we have Celosia. Next to Bassaran, this is arguably the most hated boss fight in the entire game, and it deserves every single ounce of hate that it gets.
Is the only reason you even brought up Bassaran being just as hated as Celosia simply because Peanut3423 called Bassaran the worst boss in Shadow of the Colossus, even though it's only number 10 on his personal top 10 worst boss fight he faced in video games? Well, I won't blame you, and even though I haven't played the game, you did bring up a reason about why Bassaran's such a bad boss battle in your Killjoys list, even though that list wasn't very good. Also, another thing. You stated back in the number 10 segment that you are not comfortable with ranting about young Xehanort since you already ranted on him in your top 10 worst non-final bosses list and top 10 least favorite Kingdom bosses list, both made back in 2015. And yet, not only was Celosia also a contender on your worst non-final bosses list, but you also ranted on him on your 2014 version of your top 50 most annoying bosses list. And yet, you're fine with ranting on him the third time on this list. You know what? Forget it. I'm just gonna skip to the number 5 entry since I've got nothing else to say here.
You won't only die, you will die twice. And Silver, what is that behind you?
Oh boy, here's an unpopular opinion. You're seeing this right. I hate the fight against Giant Bowser in Mario & Luigi Dream Team. But why do I hate a boss that so many people praise?
Like I said in the K-Roo entry, we all have different tastes when it comes to different things in video games. Not to mention, least favorite is in the title of the video, meaning that every boss on this list is opinion based and not based on the views of the general consensus.
Don't worry, it doesn't have much to do with the fact that it's Bowser.
If anyone saw his 2017 remake of his most hated characters list, then you would know that, spoilers! Bowser's now Meta's most hated character in all video games. If it also has to do with the fact that it's Dream Team, I wouldn't mind, since judging by your later videos, I think you're calling Dream Team your new least favorite Mario RPG. I'll get it out when I commentate on his disappointing games list.
What? Oh. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Despite that, however, he's still very frustrating to fight against.
I think the term very frustrating mainly fits for the second phase, but we'll get to that later.
His Shy Guy armies will climb on you and you need to tap the touchscreen at inhuman speeds to get them off. but it doesn't matter how fast you get them off, you'll still take damage no matter what. So if you're facing him in the boss rush and you got hit by enough attacks up to this point, you might as well just call it quits before reaching him, because you'll literally have no way of winning this fight.
I'm looking at this footage right here, and the shotgun doesn't give that much damage. So you did say get hit by enough attacks. Then in that case, I'm sorry I can't really help you if you took enough damage in boss rush. I would not have played Dream Team either, but I don't think that healing is allowed in the boss rush of this game.
But that's not the worst phase of this battle.
Does this also mean the most frustrating part of this battle?
No. Then we have the bumper card segment of the fight. Sounds like it will be an awesome phase if they did control with gyroscope controls.
Isn't that something that Dream Team is notorious for doing?
And trust me, when I say that they're even worse in this fight, because now there are higher chances of you losing control of Luigi, sending him spinning into the lava.
What do you mean by worse in this fight? Do you mean the gyroscope controls are worse in the Giant Bowser battle? Because the only other Giant battle I've seen that incorporates gyroscope controls that doesn't involve fire blows is the Z-Keeper.
There's another phase of this fight which isn't as bad because the problems aren't as prominent, but that doesn't change how terrible this fight is.
Would you care to elaborate on how the problem in the previous phases doesn't affect this phase? Because maybe just me, but aside from the gyroscope controls and maybe the difficulty in the third phase, I don't see how the problem in the last two phases translate to the third phase. Well, then again, the final phase is the same finisher that is used in the other John Luigi battles if it does incorporate the aforementioned gyroscope controls.
Hey Silver, what are you doing?
Chaos, what the hell are you doing in our sink?
I can understand what people love about this fight, but this is one instance of unpopular opinions.
We get it, Meta. You hate this boss while other people like it. Stop hammering the fact that's an unpopular opinion.